All right, so you can start in a child's pose, or you can start with lying on your back and doing a beginning meditation. Either way, just find some way to settle in, to begin to breathe, and begin to just let go a little bit of all the things that have happened before in your day. So take a big breath in through your nose, open your mouth, and let that breath out. Take another big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, let it out. One more big breath in through the nose. Open the mouth and let it out. So we'll go ahead and start our practice on our backs. So lying down, you can take your strap and have it handy. And we'll go ahead and take that right leg up towards the sky and just bring the leg in towards the body. Pressing the heel out, drawing the hip down, getting a nice stretch in that back of the leg, back of that hamstring. And again, connecting to your breath, finding breath here, and just using that breath to get into the body. Pressing out through the heel, drawing down through the hip to keep the leg really active. Take one more breath here. And then we'll let the hands come down, just cross the ankle over the knee. Take your hand and just gently press it into the thigh to draw that right knee away from the body. And you can stay right here, releasing that hand, or you can let that foot float up, take the hands through, and interlace them behind the thigh. And keep your ankle and your foot flexed. And then just trying to work the knee to get it in line with the ankle. So instead of it being close in, we're just pressing it out. Just feel your whole back body resting on the ground, the shoulders and head resting on the ground, and finding your breath, just settling into breath. And one more breath here. Then we'll release the hands. Take that leg up towards the sky, and then just bring the leg a little bit over to the left so you can feel your IT band starting to wake up. Straightening the leg as much as you can. You'll feel a lot more with the leg straight than with the leg bent. But do what you can manage, right? Do what feels good in your body. And then holding your strap in that right hand or holding the foot, we'll take the leg out over to the right so you begin to feel that inner groin muscle and the back of the leg getting a nice big stretch. Your knee can stay bent here as well. So just working with that place that you are and just honoring, where your body is today. We're just here to make it feel better, just here to open it up and create a little bit of space. Nothing dramatic, just trying to feel good. And then we'll bend that knee, take that leg back in, and we'll come to the other side. So reaching out through the heel, drawing the leg in towards the body. You can interlace your hands around the thigh, or you could hold a strap in your hand, or you can take your hands around the calf, whatever feels best in your body. And then just finding your breath. With each breath, we just try to let go a little bit. We try to surrender into the places that are creating tension and just letting them soften a little bit. Giving them a chance to open up, a little time and a little space. Just make sure the shoulders and the head are still resting on the ground, that you're supported by the ground. And one more breath here. And then we'll release the ankle to the knee. Take that left hand and just press the palm into the thigh. And then you can stay here, releasing the hand, or you can take the hands around the leg and keep pressing the ankle, flexing the foot, and pressing that knee away from you as well. And the hands are fully interlaced, and that right knee is providing a little bit of resistance as well. The right leg's pressing into the hands, and the hands are pulling against the leg. And make sure to have the shoulders and the head on the ground so that the upper body isn't straining. Just breathing in, opening up some space in the hip, shifting the energy body, the subtle energies in the body. And take one more breath here. And then you can release the hands. Let that foot come back to the ground. Bend the knee. You can hold the foot in with the strap and take that foot over just a few inches or not hold it at all. And just begin to move the foot from straight up to out to the right, just 5, 6, 7, 8 inches. Keep flexing through the foot and feel your IT band, that outer edge of the leg, get a little stretch. Make sure that the leg's coming in that same direction as the hip, that it's not forward towards the face or hanging back towards the wall behind you. Good, and then we'll bend the knee. You can hold the strap again or hold the outside of the foot and just begin to take that leg out to the left. Make sure the right hip stays anchored on the ground, that it doesn't follow the left hip. And then just feel that separation, that left leg rotating outward and the right hip staying anchored. So we're creating space through the left hip, through that muscle group on the inside and back of the leg. One more breath here. And then bending that knee, bringing it into the chest. Bring both knees into the chest. And we'll make some circles with the knees so that you can massage the sacrum, that base of the tailbone, and make your circles the opposite way as well. And you can engage the core a little bit here as the knees come away from the chest. And then engage the core as well as you draw the knees in towards the chest. And then coming back to neutral, draw the knees all the way in, compressing. And then we're going to take both knees over to one side. Just open up your arms. And let those knees drop down to the ground and settle. And maybe that results in the right or left shoulder coming up. But just go ahead and allow the knees to the ground, getting a little twist beginning at the base of the spine. And then take that breath all the way down through the bottom of the lungs. So really feeling that sensation of the breath coming in through the throat and the chest and the ribs and all the way to the belly. And then feel that sensation of pouring out the breath. And then we'll come back through the middle. Hug the knees into the chest. And then drop the knees over to the other side. Maybe the shoulder and the extended arm pops up, so don't worry about that. Just try to begin to rotate that spine around the axis of the bones. And just finding your breath. With each breath, allowing the spine to just rotate a little bit more, finding a little more depth of sensation in the bones. Good. Just one more breath here. And then we'll roll back onto our back. You can take some rolls up and down the spine, just finding a little moment of balance as you go back and come forward. And we'll land in a tabletop pose. So we want to be supported structurally here. So we're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. And then we'll take our cat-cow. So we'll begin by dropping the mid-ribs, keeping the shoulders and hips high. And then exhale, drop the head, look to the belly button, around the spine. And just flowing with your breath. Inhaling as the spine stretches on the front side, and exhaling, the spine stretches on the back side. Moving with your breath. Just finding the range of motion that's possible in your body today. Most of us will have a little more flexibility in the shoulders. It takes a little more to roll that stretch all the way down to the tailbone. Good. We'll come to neutral. Take the right leg. Stretch it back behind you. Press through your heel. Stretching the calf and the Achilles. And extending still straight out through your head, keeping the hips level. And then we'll float the right leg up parallel to the ground. And then reach forward with the left arm. So we're reaching forward and back, trying to stretch really long from fingertips to heel. We'll activate the core, bringing the forehead towards the knee, knee and elbow together, and extend it back out. You can take a couple of those with your breath. Exhaling as you curl in, inhaling as you extend out. And now we'll let that right foot land to the outside edge of the left foot and look over your shoulder, getting a side stretch. Looking back to the toes. Good, we'll come back up. We'll get off our wrists for a minute. Curl the toes under. I know how much you guys love this pose. Curling the toes under. Maybe the hands stay on the ground. Maybe you're able to sit all the way up. If you want to interlace the hands, you can do that. And then take the arms up overhead. Take a little stretch to the right. Come back to center. And a little stretch over to the left. Come back to center. And take those hands behind you. Maybe clasp the palms and lift the heart. Good. And then let's take those hands back down to the ground. Take a cat-cow. Knees under hips, hands under shoulders. Breathe in your breath. Come back to our tabletop. Left toes curl under as you extend back through that left leg, heel pressing towards the back of the room. Keep the spine long. And then begin to let that leg just float up parallel. Stretch the arm forward and hug the belly up and in. Reaching out through the fingertips. So spin that thumb outward to give you a little room in your shoulders. Take a big inhale. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, extend out. Exhale, forehead to knee, curling in. Inhale, extend out. Exhale, forehead to knee. Inhale, extend out. And then lower the hand. Take the foot to the right side of your mat. Look over your right shoulder. Stretch the left rib cage. And then come on back. We're going to curl the toes under. Lift the hips up. Take a down dog. So down dog looks like the shape of a V or a triangle on the ground. So we're really trying to move the shoulders from being over the hands to being back. We're trying to lift the hips up, pull them back, and then settle the heels towards the ground. Good, and then we'll take that right leg, float it up to the sky into a three-legged dog. Hug the knee into the chest, hover, and then we'll step that foot down to the ground. We'll take a low lunge, so let the back knee come down and place the top of the back foot on the ground as well. And then we'll begin to draw the body away from that front leg. You can just draw the shoulders down the back body, or if you want to make cactus arms, you can do that. And we'll take a twist, bring the left hand to the outside edge of the right knee, the right hand to the tailbone, lift up, twist around. Good. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, bring the hands to the floor, and then shift your hips back. So walk the hands back as well, and pull the toes up towards the face as much as you can. So maybe the knee stays bent here as you fold out over the thigh. Inhale and lengthen the spine. Exhale and fold. And then you can work on straightening that leg over time, but keep the toes pulled back, whether the knee's bent or not. Stretching the back of the knee, the Achilles again, the back of the calf, the hamstring. And then gently just pull traction back through that right heel. So you're pulling back a little bit through the right heel, through the right hip, drawing the left hip forward to keep those hips level and keep the full leg engaged. And then walk the foot back to the ground, walk the hands forward, and then walk that foot out to the right. So you've got a little bit of room. The right toes can point out if the knee is also pointing out. And then you can either lower down to your forearms or stay right where you were. And just breathe into that hip joint. Keep tractioning, pressing into the right foot. So you're pulling back a little bit through the right hip. And just breathing into the space. Moving energy out of that big joint of the hip. And belly is drawn up and in. Spine is still long. And we're just finding our breath. Right, we'll sweep that right leg back behind us, coming out from the hip, just releasing that hip. And then we'll bow, forehead to the ground. And slowly press yourself up. Let that knee come down. Curl your toes under. Lift the hips up to a down dog. Walk those hands back out so your down dog's big enough. And breathe in your down dog. So our down dog is an inversion. It gets our head below the heart, gets blood flowing into the head. So just take a few breaths to just be here, to just feel what it's like to just tip things upside down. Still feeling grounded, still connected to the breath, even upside down. Good, and then let's take that left foot and step it forward, taking a lunge on the other side. The back knee comes down, top of the back foot on the ground if you can. And then inhale, draw the body away from the thigh. Good, reaching up, lifting up out of the hips. Spreading the fingers out and energizing the hands. And really finding balance here, right? We're still balancing even though we're on 2 feet. Hands come down to the floor. Begin to walk the hands back. Let the toes pull back, keeping the knee bent. And drawing back through the left hip as you press down through the left heel. And all we're trying to do is find a sensation, right? It doesn't have to look any certain way. Just pay attention to your breath so that you can feel something. Finding out where tension is stored in your body. And finding ways to just open it up a little bit, to find a little flow again, and to feel comfortable. So the knee might be really bent, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. Just find what feels good in your body today. Keeping the toes, just drawing back as much as feels appropriate. And then we'll walk the hands forward. Walk that foot out. You can either have the knee and foot pointing forward, or you can have the knee and foot pointing out. So just do what feels right in your body. And then decide how far you want to go here. Do you want to stay on your hands? Do you want to come down onto your forearms? And if you get down on your forearms and it feels like too much, come back up, right? You don't have to stay in any pose for any length of time. You don't have to do any pose at all. Right? Do the ones that feel good. Listen to your body. And if any aggravate an injury or just don't feel right to you today or any day, you don't have to do them. And then just a few more breaths. Breathing into that hip joint. Pressing down, still through the foot, pulling back through that hip, and staying engaged in the pose. Staying with the attention on the breath. Good. And then we'll slowly sweep that leg straight out behind you. Bend the elbows, bow forward. Lower that knee back down to the ground and take another down dog. Step those hands out a bit. Feet hip distance apart, hands shoulder distance apart. And then if that doesn't feel good, play with it. Maybe the feet go wider. Maybe the hands go a little bit wider to give your shoulders some room. And just find where you're comfortable, where you can be here and feel like this is a little bit restful. Good, and then bring your knees to the ground. We're going to come all the way down and work on some back strengthening. So we're going to lay down onto the ground. Let your feet release, tops of the feet on the ground. And we're going to bring the hands in by the sides of the chest. And draw the tailbone down. Make sure the spine feels really long. Press the tops of the feet into the ground. Squeeze the elbows in and down. And then inhale, lift yourself off the ground. Just the chest. Hands are on the ground. But hands are just here for balance. They can press down to traction us up a little bit more, but we try to keep using the strength of the back instead of the hands. And then we'll lower down, make a pillow with your hands, or lay your head to one side. And then we'll bring the hands out to either side of the body like airplane wings. Bring those feet together, or they can stay a little bit apart if that feels like it gives more freedom in the tailbone. And then inhale, lift everything you can off the ground. Squeeze the shoulders towards the hips. Good, look up, lift up, take a breath. And then bring the hands to the floor, lower back down. Flex your feet, bend your knees. So the knees and ankles are lined up, arms behind you. Maybe you can reach the tops of the feet If not, keep the hands here. And then we'll inhale and lift up. Lift the chest, lift the thighs. Lifting up, strengthening the whole back body. Draw your shoulder blades down your back and breathe. Good. And then lower the knees, lower the upper body, lay down. We'll bend the knees. Just let the feet drop side to side. And then we'll come back up. We'll do a couple standing poses. So if you have your socks on, they might need to come off. A little bit easier to not slide on your mat. And then we'll do a few lunges, triangles, things to get into the hips a little bit. So we'll begin with a lunge. We'll step that right foot forward. The left foot's going to be back, hands on the floor. So we get organized. We pull the right hip back, draw the left hip forward, you press down into the feet. Maybe that back knee's bent a little bit. And then we inhale and come up. Reach the arms up. Reach the body away from that front leg. Sometimes you want to reach it forward. Try to keep it over the hips. Good. And then we'll spin the back foot down and open to a warrior two. Front knee over the front ankle. And then we'll reverse our warrior. Lift the arm up and back. And then come to side angle. Right elbow to the right knee. Reach the left arm over your head. Good. And then lower that left hand down to the ground. Walk the hands to the middle of the feet. Spin the feet so they're facing the front of the room. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Maybe the knees are bent. You can let the hands come to the ground. But keep your hips lifting up. Keep the energy and weight distributed between the ball of the foot, the pinky toe side, and the inner and outer heel. Good. Another inversion here, just letting your head hang below the heart. And then we'll walk those hands around to the left foot. We're going to press through the back heel, press forward through the front knee, and then inhale. Press yourself up. Shoulders over the hips. Good. Breathing, lifting up out of the waist. And then we'll spin open to a warrior two. Hands parallel to the ground, arms reaching forward and back, front knee bending nice and deep. And then we'll reverse. Take that left arm up and overhead. And then side angle. Bring that left arm to the top of the thigh. Reach the right arm overhead. And stretch from your ankle through the hip, the shoulder, and the fingertips. Good. Lower that right hand down to the floor. Come to your straddle fold. And just let the head hang. So we'll do a couple of shoulder stretches. You can do these standing. I'm going to do them seated just so it's a little easier to see. So we'll take the arms out to either side and we'll begin making circles. Small circles to begin with. And then like a seashell, just making them wider and wider and wider. So noticing your range of motion. Noticing how the shoulders feel as you move them. And then take your circles the opposite direction. Making the circles smaller and smaller. And taking time to notice how fast or how slow you're moving. Can be an indication of how fast or how slow the thoughts are moving in the mind. And then we'll just let those hands come down to the side. We'll take both arms out again. We'll cross the right arm across the left. Take the left hand underneath. Take your shoulder and then roll the shoulder down. So we're trying to make a little bit of space between the ear and the shoulder, but keep stretching and reaching out through the right hand. So you're feeling a stretch through the outer shoulder, hopefully. And then we'll release. Bring those hands back out. Take the left arm across. Right arm comes up and under and rolls the shoulder down. And then let's take the right arm up, bring it behind you. Take the left hand and just give that elbow a little lift. Press the elbow into the hand into the elbow, providing a little resistance, stretching that tricep muscle. And then we'll take the left hand behind us, flip the palm to face the outside, and see if you can reach up for the elbow. And then we'll take our gaze up, not for the elbow, for the fingers. Take the gaze up to the right elbow, and then look down to the left. Just making sure it's safe for your neck. Look up to the right, and down to the left. Look up to the right, and look down to the left. And then come back to neutral. Release the hands. Shrug the shoulders a few times. And then take the left arm up. Drop the elbow behind you. Right hand presses against the left elbow, and the elbow gives some resistance. Good. And then we'll take that right arm, flip the palm around so the palm faces the back of the room. Right elbow points down, left elbow points up. Maybe the fingertips meet. And then we'll look up to the left elbow. Shift the gaze down to the right. Shift the gaze up to the left. And down to the right. And then one more up. And then shifting it down. Good. And then you can hold your strap behind you in one hand, grab it with the other so the strap's taut. And then we'll take a forward fold. So we're going to let the arms lift up. The head comes down. Reaching up, pulling those shoulder blades together and lifting the hands away from the floor. If you're doing what I'm doing, no pressure on the head. Just keep the weight back in the hips and the heels. Good, and then slowly release the strap, coming back down, and take a few shoulder shrugs. A few circles with the shoulders, just drawing them up towards the ears, squeezing them back and down, and then taking those circles the other way. All right, so we'll do a forward bend. So we're gonna sit up with the legs as straight as possible. So they might be bent, the feet stay flexed, or they might be straight. Strap can be around the feet, holding that strap. And then we're gonna hinge at the hip joint, trying to keep the back really straight. So when we round, we compress the discs of the spine. We want to stay lifted. Tailbone pressing down, top of the head reaching forward, and taking a forward fold. So the legs stay really active. The muscles of the knees are lifting up. The heels might even pop off the ground. So it's as if we're still standing on the ground. Belly is drawn up and in. We're lengthening from tailbone to top of head. Good, one more breath here. Just trying to soften and surrender. And then we'll walk those hands back up. Take the right foot, bring it in towards the left thigh. Walk those hands out again or hold your strap and fold. And again, keeping the spine as long as you can, keeping one straight line from the shoulders down to the hips, not rounding through the spine. Good, just one more breath here. Surrendering a little bit. And then we'll take the right hand behind us and we'll come up to a supported side plank, lifting up to the right shin and pressing the left foot into the ground. Come back down and switch sides. Right leg comes out, left leg comes in. Left sole of foot is by the right thigh. And then we stretch forward, folding from the hip joint, long spine. And deep breaths, deep attention to your breath as well. This is a breathing practice, so we want to really pay attention to the breath. When our mind wanders or when we stop noticing the breath, then it's time to pause and just return the attention to the breath. We'll walk those hands back in. Bring the left hand behind you, come onto that left shin, press the right foot into the ground, supported side plank. Reach your right arm overhead. Good, and then lower back down. We'll take one more seated pose. So we're gonna take a butterfly. Bring the soles of the feet together. Your knees, if the hips are open, may be down towards the ground. If the hips are really tight, they may be more up towards the sky. It doesn't really matter. Just draw those feet in towards the body. And then we'll take one final spinal twist. So we're gonna go ahead, let those feet slide out. We'll bring the knees into the chest, drop them over to the side. Give yourself a twist to the right. And then bring them back through center. Give yourself a twist to the left. And then we'll go ahead and settle in for Shavasana. So we'll hug the knees into the chest, let those legs just extend out, arms by the sides of the body, and go ahead and close your eyes and just find rest. And stay here as long as you'd like. Relaxing through the ankles, the shins, the knees and thighs. Letting that relaxation move through the hips, the spine, the belly, the chest, the shoulders, the neck, the top of the head, relaxing the jaw and the eyes, the ears, and then relax the hands, the wrists, the forearms, the elbows, the upper arms and shoulders. Staying here as long as you'd like.